First of all, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
But anyway, I want to talk about, of course, the single "We Will Rock You." But before that, I want to go back to 2016 and the Runaway album.
Hmm. Well, so what's interesting about the Runaway record is that Zach and I met back when I was like a senior in high school and about to go to college, which was back in 2012, 2013, and he was working with this songwriter and producer named Jack Ponte, who is a local Jersey songwriter and producer. He was great friends with Bon Jovi growing up, helped Bon Jovi co-write a lot of his early stuff, worked with a bunch of different bands in the 80s and 90s. And basically Jack told Zach that, you need your kind of, guitar player, songwriting partner in crime. He was working just by himself at that point. So Zach took his advice and he actually found me on YouTube, because at the time, all through high school, I had a YouTube channel that I was doing like just guitar covers on and some original stuff. So he found me on YouTube and we met up and we just hit it off right away. And in the first few months of us meeting, we had written a bunch of those songs that are on Runaway. And, then we went in and we recorded that album in the studio that year, basically, or in like 2013, 2014. And it didn't get released until, years later, obviously. But that was really, both of our first time writing a record. And so we just had a lot of fun with it. And obviously, those songs have that very classic rock vibe to it, with our twists and a little bit of a modern production. But that was really our first songwriting foray. And then this record that we're going to be releasing in the summer, I wouldn't say is completely different than that, but to me, it's really night and day in terms of, our growth as songwriters and our maturity and kind of this new sound that we've developed, which is really, I think, totally unique and is going to blow kind of the rock world open when people hear it. And I'm really excited to release it.
You did a lot of, other like singles in between and covers in between that album and the new one that's coming out. I mean, the Def Leppard covers were amazing. I'll have to say that. And of all bands to pick, is that something that really influenced you?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say Def Leppard's one of my favorite bands. And, for me too, I'm still somewhat in that phase, but I had probably like 10 years of being obsessed with Mutt Lange. I mean, ever since I opened Pro Tools in high school and started figuring out how to, produce a song of my own, he's been one of my biggest influences. Everything, from the Nickelback stuff he did to Shania Twain to the Cars to Def Leppard. So he's one of my biggest influences. So covering a song like Women or Animal or anything off of Hysteria, that's the pinnacle of Mutt Lange's production style and what he did. So going through those tracks, particularly, which I love, and that record, Hysteria, is my favorite record of all time, was just a really fun thing to do, and to like kind of take it apart, listen to it a bunch, put it back together again, kind of in our own way with how we wanted to do it. It was just kind of a fun experiment to do for me. And then those obviously took off, and Def Leppard had, saw our cover we did of Women and had retweeted it on all their social media and reposted it. So that whole time was really fun doing those covers, and especially getting the recognition from them and having them, endorse it and post it. It was really cool.
I go way back, with Def Leppard, and I'm talking about album All Through the Night, which, kind of shows my age, but that is still one of my all-time favorite albums by them.
Yeah, I mean, all their records are amazing, especially those early ones, because, they're one of those bands where, a lot of times with bands, you have like the first record is great and then they kind of taper off or something like that. They're one of those bands where it's like, every record from the first record to the last, the most recent stuff they've done, it's like they're always trying to do something new. There's always a progression. They're never just kind of retreading the same ground, So that's what makes their discography so fun to listen to front to back, because with each record is its own definitive thing with a completely different sound, style, songwriting, yet they still remain true to themselves in the core of the band. So
Okay, well, I know you described yourself as, not trying to reinvent a sound, but adding your own flair to it. And I think that comes, across really, really well. I mean, also mentioned, the band maturing. Do you think that has a lot to do with it?
Yeah, because I think, when I was talking about the Runaway record, that, like I said, that was the first time, Zach and I made a record, and obviously we had experimented and written some songs beforehand on our own, but that was really our first, it's one thing when you're kind of, just sitting in your bedroom in high school and you have, unlimited time to kind of just write a song as a hobby or something. But then when you're now all of a sudden tasked, okay, you got to write a 10 song, 11 song, 12 song record. That's a totally different animal that you have to deal with. And to accomplish that, it's a lot of hard work, and it's obviously really fun, but that was our first time doing it. So we were still very much new songwriters and hadn't fully developed the vision for what we wanted the band to be, I think. And don't get me wrong, I mean, that record I love. I think it's an amazing record, but I think it's really exciting now, this record that we actually finished it back in 2020, but it was delayed because of COVID, and it's coming out this summer, and we'll have singles coming out soon from it. I think it'll be really interesting for people who love that first record to hear what we have coming out, and to hear kind of where we've taken the vision of the band, where we're still, communicate, because obviously we're all musicians and we love our instruments, and I'm very lucky that we have a band of all great players. So we're obviously keeping that, that foundation of being a rock band, and a rock band that can play, and a rock band that can perform, and a rock band that can bring fun to a live show. But we're really trying to, mix it with a lot of all of our influence as a band, and, and do something completely new. I think that rock music hasn't really heard before. And, I think it will be a really revitalizing record for rock. And I'm just really excited to hear, for everyone to hear it. I mean, I listened to it just a week ago again for the first time in a while, and I was like, I cannot wait to get this out there.
No, you could throw a pre-release this way. I wouldn't mind.
Well, I'm sure we'll be talking again soon when the singles come out.
So now I want to get now to the single you put out, "We Will Rock You," and that's for the Save Me Trust and Brian May. And what made you get involved with this charity?
Well, this is kind of a crazy story, and it really happened only over the past few weeks. So, our band, we're all still kind of like buzzing from it. Basically, we had been doing this cover of "We Will Rock You," which is the fast version of "We Will Rock You," which a lot of people don't know, but it's a Queen arrangement that they used to do live a lot.
I have it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually heard that for the first time when I was young. My dad had like a bootleg CD or cassette or something of a live Queen thing.
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's very heavy. I always loved that. So, we were brainstorming on doing some covers because, we're a band obviously that writes original music, but when we play live shows, we like to have a cover or two in there just for fun. And I remembered this fast version. So I said to the guys that we should do this. This would be really fun. We played it a few times live, pre-COVID, and it was always a great, encore song to end the set with, because, everyone in the world knows that song and can sing along to it. And so when we did this European tour that just happened in last summer, the first show we played in Germany at this festival called Rock im Park was an insane show. I mean, it was the first show we played. We didn't know what to expect. We're still kind of jet lagged, and we had this crowd just going nuts. Like they've been listening to our music for longer than we've been alive. I mean, like they're like going crazy, moshing and crowd surfing. And we closed that set with "We Will Rock You," and it was just such a huge hit. It was insane. I mean, I can't even describe it with words. And we actually weren't planning on playing that song every night we were doing that tour. But once we saw that reaction to that song, we said, okay, Audible time, we got to do that song at the end of every set for this European tour. And we did. And it was amazing to see the fan reaction to that track. And so when we came back from the tour, we decided, let's cut together a video. Let's do a studio version of this, and let's cut together a video of the song, and kind of make it an homage and a thank you to all the fans that came and saw us and brought, their energy and their passion and their love on tour when they saw us on tour. So we not only had our own footage that we used for the video, but it's a lot of fan footage and photos. We had thousands of posts we were tagged in on like Instagram and all that stuff. So we were going through and grabbing fans' videos and stuff. And we put together this really cool little montage music video for the track, which just came out. And after we released the video, a few days later, we got a message from someone that saw us when we did our warm-up gig. So we did a warm-up gig at this tiny little club in London before we really started that tour. Basically, to make sure all our gear worked after being on a 6-hour flight. Like it wasn't really a big advertised show. It's just like, let's just play a warm-up show, make sure the amps turn on and all that good stuff. And the drum, the cymbals are still there and all that. And he came and saw us at that show, which was in Camden in London. And so after we released the We Will Rock You video of our European tour, we get a message from him saying, oh, I'm really good friends with Brian, and I sent him the track and he loves it. And of course, our first reaction is like, oh, this guy's like, pulling our leg or something. Like, what are the odds that this guy is actually friends with Brian May? But it turns out he was true. It was true. And Brian had sent him, a bunch of messages and voice memos saying, wow, this is great. I love this, this is so cool. The video's great, yada, yada, yada. So of course, just that on its own was amazing. And we were blown away by that. And so we decided then to partner with his charity, the Save Me Trust, just kind of as like a thank you to him, to make this into a little bit something more than just a single for us, and to pay tribute to him and recognize him and for all he's done in music, and for him, showing a baby rock band some love. So we partnered with the Save Me Trust, and we're actually doing something pretty cool too now, which is we're getting I can't say any names yet, but we're getting together a bunch of, the best of the best guitar players that are all going to do their own version of the solo for that track over our track. So we made like a backing track version where my guitar solo is taken out, and they're all going to play over that. And it's going to turn into a big tribute to Brian. And I'm really excited about that. That should be happening soon.
That sounds incredible. I'm looking forward to hear that as well. Now,
Yeah.
all proceeds are going to the Save Me Trust, correct?
Yes, they are.
What can we expect as far, you mentioned European tours, anything in the U.S. coming up?
Yeah. So, we're, as I mentioned before, the record that we're releasing in this summer, and we should have some singles coming out very soon. We're kind of in the final stages of getting all the, logistics and exact dates down right now. This was a record we finished in right when the pandemic started. Chris Lord-Alge mixed it. It sounds amazing. So, we're going to be touring on that heavily, and I can't say anything, unfortunately, about like what exactly the tour details are at the moment, but we will be doing a whole bunch of touring starting spring, summer, all the way into the next year on this record. And I know a lot of our fans, it's been a long wait because of COVID delayed anything, but it will be worth it. And we've already pretty much written another record while we've been waiting for this one to come out. So we're going to have even like more music than we've ever released coming out over the next year, and as well as touring. So I'm really excited for that.
Harrison, thanks for taking the time, man, to speak with me today. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.
You have yourself a good night.
Awesome. You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.